everybody. So, what are we doing today? We are going to talk about.
On your soapbox.
We are getting on our soapbox today because
everybody loves Brett's soapbox segment. So,
well,
people have been asking about it. So I was thinking maybe we would do once a week soapbox segments.
Well, at least we're going to do one and see how it goes. But yeah, I do have a laundry
Don't
list
ask me.
of.
I just work here.
I have a laundry list of soapbox items, but today we're specifically talking about the post office and their mismanagement, lack of management, top-heavy management. We have a long list of things. The post office has been in the news lately. There's a new, I wanted to say Attorney General, but what is it called for the post office?
Postmaster General.
Postmaster General. I knew there was a general in there somewhere.
He was assigned last year.
Okay.
He took over for I want to say Lovejoy, but that's not right. DeJoy.
Yeah, DeJoy, yeah.
Lovejoy is in Georgia. And,
yeah, I always want to
that's
say that too for some reason. Yeah.
But it's DeJoy.
But
so he took over for DeJoy last year.
Okay.
His background is not in the Postal Service. Neither was DeJoy's. They're both businessmen. He actually has the background of business and lawyer. The new guy, Steiner is his name.
So he can talk out of both sides of his mouth then?
Yeah. So he's fairly new. But for all the stuff I've seen in the news lately, doesn't seem like he's changed much so far.
He can't really answer the hard questions. He just sits there and him and haws and gives he almost does a word salad. Gives a whole bunch of explicitives about other things that don't answer the question. So yeah, he's a good lawyer. But maybe he should stick to that. But several things that came up were the number of bonuses that the post office pays.
So what are they even been in the news for? Let's talk about that first.
Well, because...
Jump ahead. The first time I saw them in the news was a couple of months ago, was a story out of Alabama.
Oh, yeah.
Where the people were complaining that they hadn't gotten mail for weeks. Mm-hmm. And it was like a whole town was having these problems. And they were even going into the post office to find out about their mail, and they weren't even getting their mail by going in.
Right.
So that's crazy.
Yeah, the post office definitely was withholding the mail.
I mean, the post office has had issues for many, many years, but it seems here lately they've gotten to a point where, when they stop bringing you your mail, that's like serious business, because that was one of the big things. Yes. When I was there, was like that mail has to be delivered. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And you were going to lose your job.
Yeah, it was called willful delay of the mail.
Yeah. So, but now it's like, we don't have enough people. Whatever the case may be, they just make a bunch of excuses and it's no biggie to them. But before it used to be like serious business. And it should be serious business. Like that's your job to deliver the mail.
That really is your whole job, is to receive, safeguard, and deliver the mail. That's all you do.
I was surprised, but not surprised, I guess, when I saw that news story.
And it was a small town. It wasn't a big city. It was a small town somewhere in northern Alabama that's near the Tennessee border. I don't remember if that was
Harvest or Newmarket or...
One of those really small towns up on the Tennessee border or close to it. But it was in the news here. We get our local news out of... I want to say Gainesville, Huntsville.
One of those villes.
It was one of those villes down there around Huntsville.
But we don't get our own news, which is...
Yeah, we don't. We're not big enough.
Bummer.
Not a big enough population here. Let's go back just a little bit and talk about our history for those that are not familiar. We do have a background with the post office. Mine is smaller, much smaller. I just delivered Amazon packages with the post office, but I delivered with 3 or 4 different offices at different times as you move around or you get borrowed by another post office. So I have a little bit of insight, but you have a lot of insight because you had at least an 18-year career with the post office, and you have clerked, you've mostly delivered, and you have even been a supervisor. So you can really attest to the inner workings of what works and what doesn't work inside the post office. And then we wanted to share our own experiences of here of what people are reporting on the message boards on Facebook about the Tullahoma post office. Now, we don't have a whole lot of experience with that, but I do have one instance with them. And then with our own Estill Springs post office, we wanted to talk to because we had an issue with them. So without further ado, I just want to kind of explain that we do have a background in the post office to be able to talk to it. And so we can kind of talk the service side, and we can kind of talk the our experience side as well as a customer.
Now, I know a lot of people who've never worked at the post office look at the post office and say, wow, those people make a good wage. Like, what's the problem? And they never understood the whole phrase going postal and, you know, don't say that word. But there's a lot to the job, and you don't just walk in there and collect your mail and hit the street and go put it in the boxes and everything's wonderful and you're getting paid this big amount of money.
It's not
That's
like that.
not like
all.
that. No, not at all. So it is a hard job. Mostly it's a very physical job. You have the elements of the weather to deal with. You have
People, pets,
customers, pets. Like
traffic.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and then you have in the office your coworkers, the management, which is the big problem there, the management. So you have just so many elements that make it a really hard job. You know, you have to, in many cases on many routes, provide your own vehicle for the job, which is a whole nother mess. And I mean, there's just mess after mess. And when you're not a regular, and when you're a regular, there's
now, what does it
all
mean
these
to
stresses.
be a regular? Some people may not understand that term. What does it mean to be a regular?
So when you first start at the post office, and there are many different crafts, you have the rural carrier, the city carrier, the clerk, you have all these different things. So there's different rules and different ways things are run for the city carriers and the rural carriers. But let's just say, for example, starting off as a rural carrier or even as a city carrier, you start off as a substitute carrier. So that means you can bounce around the whole office all the time. You never know what's what. You have usually one specified day a week, or every 2 weeks you're on the same route, which is your sub route. But the rest of those days and weeks, you could be bounced all over that office, which can be very stressful and confusing. Now, you have to do that until the time that you can make regular. Making regular means that you bid on a route and you get granted that route by a seniority of who bid. And then from that day forward, that's your route every day except for your day off.
So there are several advantages to that. Like, you really get to know that route really well.
Right.
Versus being
bounced all over the
to
place.
Different routes throughout the day.
You're not supposed to be sent back out when you come back in. Like, you're supposed to be done for the day at that point. The bennies are better. The benefits, there's better
healthcare coverage,
health insurance. There's the thrift savings plan for your 401k. There's
usually
paid time off,
and usually you get a vehicle depending on if you bid
depending on the route.
So the vehicles are assigned to the route. That's something else people don't understand on the outside. So let's do a population thing. Let's talk about the one that you're familiar with in Ocala. So that post office, I don't know how many people are in Ocala, but they had 3 post offices there. They had a main, which was mostly considered the city carriers because they kind of grouped them there on purpose. But there are
rural carriers.
There's rural carriers there too. So that's the city main, they call it. Then they had Mayor Camp, which was, I think, the best of the 3 post offices if you were going to get assigned to one. And they had about 30 routes. Then you had Paddock, which is the huge conglomerate post office with about 80 routes. And it was...
It's probably more now.
Yeah, it's probably more now. But so it's way overburdened the post office. So, but the Merricamp post office is pretty much a good size post office to use for this example. Tullahoma is similar. Tullahoma has 21,000 people. I think Ocala is bigger than that.
I would say.
So they might have 30 routes here because they only have one post office in Tullahoma. So they probably have about 30 routes. So
possibly
keeping that in mind. So if you're an assistant carrier, you have not yet made regular, you go into the office and you don't know what route you're going to be on. They're numbered from like 1 to 30. And you could be assigned route 7. You could next day be on route 17. And you have to know the route. You have to know the order and method of travel. And you have to know the box.
Case.
The case, meaning...
That's where you case your mail. You stick the mail in the slots according to the addresses.
In order.
Yeah, there's usually wings of the case, and there could be anywhere from 3 to 6 wings, and then they go 5 or 6 shelves high, and you have addresses all around it. So you need to memorize that to be fast, to put the mail in the slot so that when it's time to pull down and deliver, everything's in order.
Now explain pull down. I know what you mean by pull down, but I'm kind of your interface between your civilian who doesn't know. Pull down is once you have all your mail cased and you're putting them in the trays, they call them DPS trays, then you have to pull the mail down in order starting with the last delivery. And there could be 750 stops.
What do you mean starting with the last delivery?
Well, I mean, you take the last one and then you bring the next one, next one, next one, next one. You're putting them in order in your tray is all I'm trying to say.
So I start with the first one.
Okay.
And pull it.
All right. You could do it either way, couldn't you?
I've only worked in one office that their cases run backwards. In Bellevue, their cases ran backwards. So, I mean, there's for such an organization where there's so many things that are alike, you could go into another office and things are slightly different. But, I mean, and some of the coworkers are not very nice to each other. No. So that's another problem. But
no. And then, I guess talk about a typical day. You go in, you find out what route you're going to be on if you're not a regular. So, what was your route in Ocala? What was your main route?
In which office?
I said the Merricamp office.
Oh. For being regular?
It doesn't matter. Just pick a number.
31.
Okay. So you would come in and you would be assigned route 31. So in your mind, when you hear that number, you know where you are on the street, in a sense. You can do that route in your head. So when you're casing your mail, that route, those addresses, those numbers, those street names all need to be in your head to help case your mail. And then how long does it typically take to case your mail on a regular day? Not a Monday, which is a heavy day for the post office, or after any holiday is a heavy day for the post office, but a regular Wednesday, middle of the week. Typically 3 to 4 hours to case.
God, no. It better not take you that long.
Okay. How long does it take you?
Well, if all the mail is up and the packages are up, how long would it take start to finish on a typical day? I don't know, an hour and a half?
Well, that's pretty fast.
Well, for me, I guess. But most people, maybe 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And a lot of times while you're casing your mail...
That's on a typical day. Now, you have heavier days.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you're waiting on your packages to be thrown because the packages are heavier than the mail these days.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And so what happens when you say mail is thrown? That's a literal word. It means the packages are broken down off of the pallets that they come off the big trucks. and they get dropped off, and sometimes they're shrink wrapped or they're cargo netted or whatever, and they have to break them down. They have to be scanned. The clerks are typically the ones that are doing this. This is your front counter clerks. Before they open the window, they come in early and they scan them. It's an automatic scanner. Usually sometimes they're in the ceiling or they're on your finger. They got ring scanners, they call them. You scan the label and it tells you where to put it in terms of which buggy, which case, which route, whatever. So you're literally going through anywhere between, depending on the size of the post office, you could be going between 1,500 to 5,000 packages per day. So all of these packages have to be directed to a area where they then get assigned to the routes. So now you finish casing your route for the day. You're pulling it all down into the trays and putting them in order. That's what that means, pulling down. Then, okay, here's your packages. Someone's usually pushing them over to your case. They're on a buggy, and now you got to, kind of look at them and know where they need to go. Because you need to know when you're delivering your mail, oh, I've got a package in the back for this address. So there is a system, a process that they teach on how to mark the packages. And you're only supposed to mark them one way. That's the way they teach it. If you're marking them twice, you're wasting time. A lot of post offices will allow the carriers to mark them several different ways, which is kind of crazy. Now they use you can use markers to mark them right on the label. That's the way I did it with the packages. They also have colored, what do they call them, markers that go in your box. So when you're putting your mail up and you have a package for that route, you put a colored marker in there. It lets you know, hey, there's a package. Something to let you know, to trigger, go, oh yeah, I got a package. Well, now you got to go in the back and find it, which means getting out of the vehicle, come around, open the back, and find it. Now, there's a certain order of things in the back too, to get them in the right sequence. And that is not always 100% because things move and shift, and you sometimes will overlook things and put them in the wrong order. But that's neither here nor there. So I guess we're saying all this. We're trying to get to a bigger point here at the post office on a bigger scale. But we want to kind of let you know what happens behind the scenes to get your mail to your box. There's a lot going on. And you're not working in a stress-free environment. The whole time you're doing this, there's someone walking the floor yelling at you. You need to get on the street. You need to hurry up. What's taking you so long? Da-da-da-da-da. I need to see you about this. And then you got other people, other carriers and the cases and the other cases. And this is a big open floor with these cases are back to back, side to side. And there's chit-chat and there's gossip, and that's all slowing you down. Some people have headphones on and they're working. And so there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes, other than just you see your happy little smiling mail carrier putting a letter in your box and you thinking that's an easy job. It's not easy. That part of the job is the easiest part of the job. But you're also getting phone calls, management's pinging you. What time do you think you're going to be back? And they're asking you this at 10 in the morning. How do you know what time you're going to be back? There's a lot of factors that factor into that. There can be trains that hold you up, kids on the street, toys that come across, balls, traffic itself, an accident, rerouted traffic, and what happens when there's a road closure? Like you have to deal with that too. Management's calling you, bugging, where are you at? Can I send help? I need you to help me. I need you to hurry up and get back so you can help somebody else. I mean, it's just continuous. So you're working in a high stress environment and you're having to multitask continuously all day. So then when you're done for the day and you get home, it's hard to unwind because your mind is still going 100 miles an hour. But anyway, so I kind of wanted to explain that because when you're real familiar with something, sometimes you might talk over some points and they're like, I don't understand, and the acronyms, or maybe you don't understand. So there's a lot that happens in the back of the post office before they even open. And there's a lot that happens before a carrier can even, what they call, hit the street, start their route. And normally they're not out there delivering mail until about 11-ish, 11, 12 o'clock, depending on how heavy that day's mail is. And then they want you to get back before 4 or 5. And it takes a while to deliver to 750 stops. And then you have packages, and every package, if it doesn't fit in the mailbox, is supposed to go to the porch. unless there's a fence or pet interference or some reason why you can't deliver that package. And rain slows you down, the weather slows you down, traffic slows you down. And so they're all, and how about people that block mailboxes? We go to thrift stores estate sales all the time, and they'll kind of tell you, hey, you can't block the mailbox, but inevitably people will park in front of the mailbox. Oh, I'm only going to be here 30 minutes. You don't know when the mail lady's coming. You block the mailbox, they get pretty upset about it because now they have to get out, and you're thinking, oh, she just has to get out. She has 750 stops. If she gets out at every single stop, she won't get the mail delivered that day. It's impossible. So the mail delivery system has to be clean, efficient, and quick. It needs to be in, out, in, out. And they're typically driving with the letters between their fingers for the next 3 stops. It's almost like a chess game where you have to think 3 steps ahead. Well, that delivery driver is thinking 3 steps ahead. She's delivering this one while she's thinking about the next one, and then she's also pulling up the next one after that. And if there's a package, she has to remember there's a package. And then she has to think, is the package going to fit in the box, or do I have to take it to the door? How far is the door? Is the house way back off the road, or is it right up on the road? All of these things go through your mind. And at the same time, while you're driving, you're making decisions based on traffic, conditions, kids playing, school buses, dogs, everything. All of this happens multitasking. You're multitasking throughout the day. Your head is just bzzz all day. And so it's really hard to decompress when you're done. But yeah, I guess I'm on my soapbox. But
why it's your soapbox.
So explaining all that. So Tullahoma is about 21,000 people, and it has 1 post office. And most of the complaints that I read about them is that the missed deliveries. For them, it's missed deliveries. Now, there might be other problems we're not familiar with. We're not on a Tullahoma delivery route. We are on an Estill Springs delivery route. And we'll talk about Estill Springs in a minute. But so Tullahoma has about 21,000 residents. Estill Springs, in comparison, only has 3,000, a little less than 3,000. So it's a very small town. And it's nestled in between Tullahoma and Winchester, which has about 10,000. So you got Tullahoma's the big one, 21,000. Winchester's about half that at 10,000. And then Estill Springs is in the middle, with only about 3,000. So the Estill Springs post office only has 5 routes. We happen to be on Route 1, which really doesn't mean anything other than, it's a route number. So our complaint in Estill Springs has been occasionally, it hasn't happened a lot, but we don't really know how much it's happened. We just know it's happened to us a couple of times where we had something to mail out, a package. Typically someone has, we've prepared for a customer on eBay. We package it, we put it out in a box, we put the flag up, and we see it's usually not the regular postal lady because we know her vehicle. And it's another vehicle. And so we know they're a sub just because we know it's not her vehicle. And so we sometimes think, okay, it's a sub, they're going to come late. Or this road only has 1 in and 1 out. So you're going to see them typically. You'll see them either through the window, or if you're outside, you'll see them. And you can hear them too, because there's a road across the street and they have to slow down and speed up and then come up the hill. And typically you can hear them deliver. You can tell the postal lady is close by. Oh, that's the postal lady. But sometimes when they come, and for a mail to come out here, 3-4 o'clock is starting to get late, and your flag is still up, that means they still haven't come. 5, 6 goes by. Now you've seen 1 or 2 of these vehicles come in, but the mail doesn't get picked up. That doesn't make sense to me. You are here delivering, obviously, or you wouldn't have come out here, and you go by my box twice and you don't pick up the mail. That's a problem. So I did go and talk to them about it, and the supervisor, of course, has given me this hem and this haw and this excuse, and we'll try to do better. I was like, well, this ain't the first time it's happened. This is just the first time I'm telling you about it, because it's frustrating now. Because if I had known they weren't coming, then I would have taken that mail to the post office myself to make sure that it gets a scan. Because if it doesn't go out the day that you've prepared it to go out, it's kind of a ding on you as a seller. So it needs to go out the day it's supposed to go out. So if I knew they weren't coming and we were going to the gym, let's say for instance, then we could have taken that with us and dropped it off in Tullahoma, and it goes out sooner and it gets a scan and we're good to go. Another complaint we've had with them is that a lot of times we've had to do a claim where they totally didn't deliver it. And there's no scan on the product. There's no scan when it left. There's no scan when it delivered. There's no scan anywhere along the way. And so you have no way to track this item. But then they refuse payment for the item. Now, the package is what, Ground Advantage now they call it, I think is insured up to $100. So I don't remember how much it was, maybe $50, $60. And they deny the claim. Why are they denying the claim? They can't even track it. That should be automatic proof that they owe you money. They can't even tell you where it is. They can't even tell you where it was, much less where it is. That should be an automatic claim, but it was refused. And so then we did a counter claim, like a rebuttal to the claim. And they, of course, kicked it back again. And then guess what happens 2 to 3 days later? It shows up. The package bounced around somewhere, never collected a scan, which is a post office fail. At every point there should have been a scan. Then it delivers. Well, what happens now? You probably already refunded the customer. Now the customer got their item, and now you're hoping that you can get with them. And it's this whole game you have to play. You have to relist it so they can pay you. And then the post office, well, you kind of dismiss the claim now because it got delivered, but you wouldn't have got your money anyway. So the whole insurance thing, I think, is pretty fraudulent, because if you can't tell me where the package is or where it was even, then that should be an automatic claim that you pay up to $100, and they didn't do that. So that's either false advertising or that's just not doing your job. That's the biggest beef we've had is. And that's, I think, has happened a lot to us. I know it happened one big time.
The other times it was broken.
Oh, other times were broken. So, but you know what? Even on an item that delivered but was broken, they want the client to bring it in to a post office. That burden is not on them to do that. They're not going to do that. They're not gaining anything by doing that. They're helping you. But the post office shouldn't be putting that on them. If they provide pictures of the item being broken, that should be sufficient. Just pay the claim. It's only not more than $100 on the basic ground level service. So I don't understand the whole hiccup with just pay the claim. But that's been our beef with it. That we know they've had 1 or 2 mail delivery people in this subdivision. 2 different ones, so one's probably running mail, one's probably running packages, because they do that to try to, they have someone else run packages to try to get the other driver back quicker. They do that, and what we call it is they're throwing the football team out trying to get everybody back, because the supervisor can't leave until everybody's back. That's what that game is. So instead of leaving one person on the route and everybody else goes home and she just waits on them, she doesn't want to wait on them, which is the more efficient thing to do. But instead, she'll hold 2 or 3 people up on the clock, send them out to go find them, split the route up, and then deliver. But by the time you do all that, that delivery is done anyway by the original person. But now you're paying it 3 times, 4 times. Sending the football team out is way inefficient. And these are the management problems with the post office. But you could speak probably to a lot more inefficiencies in the post office. What are some of the things that you came across, like as a supervisor, struggles that you had, inefficiencies that were forced upon you? Can you think of any?
I think just management in general, they need to do away with a lot of it.
Yeah, it's top heavy. It's very top heavy. I think that post office at Paddock in Florida, they had what they call, you had 2 or 3 supervisors in that office, and you had a manager. They call it a manager. Then you have the postmaster.
Well, so they're not really doing anything besides patting themselves on the back all day for all that they feel feel they've accomplished, which was basically making everybody miserable.
Yeah, they
So if they've made everybody miserable because they treat everybody like garbage, they feel like they've done something and they're superior. And I mean, I've worked for very few good supervisors. So most of them were just rotten people. You had one dude who was sleeping with everybody he could, and they say they have a zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment.
That's a
and
joke.
That is a joke. And he made a lot of people's lives bad, and nothing happened to him. He got rewarded for it. They moved him out of the post office for a little bit to a different post office, and then moved him right back. And he gets all his bennies, he gets his good pay, and he gets to be a predator. And then you have some women supervisors. I know there was one in particular I worked for, and she was the she-devil. And she was just an evil person. And at the end of the day, if she made everybody feel rotten and everybody feared her, then she felt good about herself.
Yeah, she actually would laugh about it.
And she was just a very sick person. So when you have to work under people like that, it adds to a whole nother element of your stress and your quality of life. And the post office is rewarding these people, paying them good wages to do inefficient work and make everybody's lives miserable. So they're contributing to the problems of the post office. We called them the cancer of the post office. And if you got rid of the people like that, you would have a good workplace, because nobody wants to go to work and be made to feel horrible on top of having to do a heavy physical job. So the management in there can really ruin people's lives.
Yeah.
And that was my experience with management. I tried to get into management thinking that I could make a difference and make it a better place, but you're far outnumbered with the evil. And it made my life worse going into management. That's one of my biggest regrets. I wish I would have just stayed a carrier or gotten out altogether.
And here's a problem with it too, real quick, is that you were a seasoned regular and decided to go where it wasn't in, maybe I'm saying I'm out of order, but you were a seasoned regular. You had a regular route, which is what a carrier wants. They want to make regular. They want to get on one route. They want to get a vehicle. That's what they want. And then they just want to do their job and go home. So that's the goal of trying to go regular and be a regular. And it took you 8 years to make regular.
8.5 years.
Yeah, that's a long time. Typically, it can be between 5 and 10.
Some people 2 to 3.
Yeah, it's sometimes luck of the draw. If you want to make regular quicker, go to a bigger office where there's more turnover, and you'll move up. And another thing I don't like is that seniority, it's strictly based on time. It's not based on ability. So it can be your crappiest worker, the one who's always showing up late, complaining, works slow, not safe, they're mouthy.
Oh, they didn't fire those people.
Yeah,
they always
don't
called
fire
them a
them.
warm body.
All they
They're
need is a warm
body.
body. So it prevents an open route, what they call, where they have to go find help from another office to cover that route. So if they have a warm body in there, they figure that route's covered. But what happens is that person takes all day, and then whoever comes back first has to go back out. So that's how a good
That's
carrier,
not looking at the bigger picture of things. So
Right.
again, management failure.
It's management failure. So a typical office of 30 routes, let's say, will have 5 open routes a day. So what do they have to do? They have to strategize and either try to get more help from another post office, which they can do up to 50 miles, or they can call somebody in if someone happens to be off, or they could run it themselves, or whoever comes back to the office first, they send them back out. And then the next person that comes back, they might send them out to go help. So now you got 2 and 3 people on one route. Is that efficient? No. What they should have done is probably fired that person early on and not just catered to them. What they do is the dynamic is they punish the good carriers. Let's say Therese here is a good carrier, which she was on top of her game. She was one of the fastest, one of the first ones back, had the heaviest routes, and she was consistently the one that got sent back out. Now, why should she get sent back out? Because of another carrier's failure to come up to standard. So they use the good carriers to make the other ones look better. In other words,
I wouldn't have minded doing any of that if they were going to take action against that carrier and do something about them. But it was a repetitive failure every day of the week, and you were just picking up the pieces, and you're not getting anything for it.
You don't get
any big thank you, promotion, or just some more wear and tear on your body.
Right.
And then when you start falling apart, you're going to get rode up. There's no big thank yous.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to you. And this one lady that you talk about, I know who she's talking about. We're not going to call her out, but she's still working, and upper management still loves her. They think she's great.
She stepped on a lot of people to get where she is.
She did. She walked over a lot of people, and you were even warned about her, weren't you, before
I was.
you had taken the position underneath her? So
I was,
you're not going to want to work
stupid
for her.
me. I always tried to see the good in everybody.
Yeah.
And, oh well.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know this lady very well. In fact, I've had some run-ins with her when I was at the campground because she was over the Otter Creek Post Office, and I had some issues. And
okay, moving forward.
Yeah. But let's see. How about as a manager, you're trying to do a lot of things in the morning. It's mostly in the morning. The afternoon dies down once all the trucks are out on the road. But you end up having to entertain all these endless conference calls.
Well, you do that before the people are on the street.
Oh, okay.
They want to do those conference calls while you're trying to get the carriers out of the building, which makes no sense.
That's when you're the busiest.
You need to be on the floor supporting your team,
directing
and
traffic.
trying to get stuff done, making sure those packages are getting out there, seeing what carriers need to get out on the street. Like, and they want you to sit there on a telecon and get chastised for not doing a good job. They offer no solutions. They just want to wave the finger at you and talk down to you. You know, so the upper management treats the management like crap, which trickles down to the management treating the workers like crap. It's a horrible system that needs to be completely dismantled. And the post office structure is a complete and utter failure. It's not that hard to figure out.
It's not.
How to fix it. Matter of fact, most postal workers know the solutions.
Yeah.
And there's a variety of solutions in so many different areas that would work out. I had tons of great ideas, still have tons of great ideas, but they don't want to hear any of that because management obviously doesn't want to lose their jobs because they're getting paid well to
some of them are getting bonuses.
They're getting bonuses, so that's insane. They falsify all kinds of stuff to get their bonuses, and I've never seen so much evil as all of that. And then the good people end up leaving because it's so horrible. Like, I quit when I was in management, and everyone was like, nobody quits. And I'm like, I'm not living this way. It's horrible. It's a whole lot of evil, and there has to be more in life.
And your supervisor at the time
money.
was a postmaster, and I've also worked with her, but I didn't have a lot of run-ins.
Don't pedal backwards now.
Yeah, but she told you need to get numb inside.
She was another... No, she said you need to be dead inside.
Oh, dead inside. I'm sorry.
She was another one who shouldn't be with the Postal Service. It makes lots of lives miserable. There's numerous postmasters and supervisors who are horrid at their job. And I can tell you, when some of them were running late in the morning and the office was being completely run by the clerks and carriers, it was a better office. They're not even needed. Like, I don't know why they're paying them all that money to come in and mess the place up.
Well, well, I won't say where, but I mean, people can figure it out from the locations we've given. But there was a postmaster, a senior and postmaster of a big office, walks in an office, walks into one of his supervisor's office, and his clerk is being raped by a supervisor. What do? Nothing. They move that person to another location. That's all they did. That's zero tolerance? That sounds like it's 100% tolerance. Do whatever you want. It's
They
okay.
called it playing softball.
Softball.
They just move everybody around.
Yep.
So,
Yep. There's a lot of problems in management. And management is the problem.
Here, the Postmaster General is asking for another bailout.
Oh, that's what started it, yeah.
So here they are asking for another bailout for their horrible business model. And he's getting crazy bonuses. The Postmaster General is getting ridiculous pay and bonuses for doing a horrible job.
With his salary and bonuses, he's making more than the President of the United States. Does that make any sense to you?
So the post office is wasting all kinds of money on their failure management.
But they do this. Oh, we did such a good job. Didn't we do a good job?
When you have open spots with postmasters and supervisors throughout the organization, they'll take another supervisor or postmaster and pay them extra money to go cover that post office, giving them an allowance for travel and meals, and if it's more than 50 miles outside of their installation, they get put up in a hotel. What a waste of money. And they usually get a 5% upgrade in pay for that also, when they should just be making somebody in that office step up to that position and giving them a boost in pay and making it work without all those extras.
Yeah.
Because there's some people like the she-devil that would just go on all these assignments to rake in all the extra money because they were getting extra gas. They were building up their bank account and getting all this extra money. Meanwhile, their post office is left sitting without a postmaster, so they have to bump up somebody within that installation. So now you're double dipping because you're paying this postmaster all this money to go over here. You're paying the clerk or other people in that area to cover that. And it's just a trickle effect, just wasting a ton of money. It's not that hard to figure out how to fix the problem.
And
stop rewarding bad behavior.
That's right. And this lady, she purposely picked going to the small post office so that she could be available to go onto these what I call TDY trips. That's a military term meaning temporary duty. But she doesn't want to go to a big post office because that's going to be busy. That's going to take all your time. You're not going to be able to do these other things. So she picks a small post office, even though she's way more qualified than that. She's overqualified for this size office that really could run without a postmaster. But she does it because then she has time to go fix this one and go to this one and then go. So she's padding her bank account with all these temporary duty assignments because they pay extra money, more than she's making sitting here. And not only that, she's, what do you call it, kissing butt? She's making herself look good because she's willing to go do all these things. She's doing all those things because they're paying her out, overpaying her for it. That's why. But she looks good because she's the fixer. She doesn't fix anything.
It's a temporary fix. Anybody can make a broken post office look good just by doing what you need to do.
She manipulates numbers. She lies. I can just sit here and go on and on and on and on.
I mean, my biggest problem with her and the other management like her
it's just the way
is that they make people feel like garbage. They treat them like garbage when they're out there trying to do their best. They're also intimidated by these people if they have any smarts, so they'll treat those people like garbage. And, you know, it's just like there's zero tolerance policy for sexual harassment. If you go reporting people and, you
You're
know,
the
the
bad
whole
one.
see something, say something, then you get the bullseye on your back.
Right.
All those people who are doing wrong get protected, get promoted,
Softball.
get all these other things, and you get harassed. You get treated like garbage until you're eventually run out of your position because you just can't take it no more. And no one should have to live like that. So they just completely need to dismantle the system. They need to quit giving them bailouts. They need to
let them fail.
they need to they need to set up like a board.
They need an
I
accountability.
think of some good retirees and good workers that are there now to throw ideas around. Their whole union contract stuff,
Oh, that's a mess.
that's a mess, and it makes a bigger mess of trying to get things done in the right way, because throughout the years, what may have started out as a good thing has gotten twisted and turned into more wrong things. So you have greed on a lot of that too. And a lot of people that are involved in the union, not all, but a good amount of them are involved in the union just for their own purposes of getting time off from their routes.
And they're like, what do you mean by that? Because you'll have, let's say in a small post office, let's pick Chiefland. Chiefland had 7 routes. One person in there is a union steward, so she speaks for the union. So if she is needed or she's tapped to investigate something, whether it's in that office or another office nearby, then she gets out of work that day, it opens her route, and then someone else has to cover her work.
It's the same as management getting sent to other offices and OICing.
Right.
Now you're paying a carrier or a clerk to go and do these other things, and you're paying another person to cover what they should have been covering. And then there's grievances filed, and when they do settlements on that, they pay out extra monies for that. So they are just throwing money around like it's monopoly money and then asking for a bailout. They are mismanaged in so many different ways and just wasting money in so many different ways. They pay regular carriers overtime to go run routes when they shouldn't. They need to be making different positions. Like, there's so many things, and I'm not going to get into all of that and all of my great ideas to make things better.
A lot of them you wouldn't really understand anyway, because you have to understand how it works behind the
But
counter.
most of it is common sense.
It is
I mean,
common
you could
sense.
figure so many ways right off the rip to save money by doing common sense things.
Now you would think, saying what you're saying, I'm just adding an element. Let's say you want to go to the post office on your lunch break, because this is common. People take lunch when? Lunchtime's around noon. Well, guess what? Those clerks on the front window, you want to go do some mail service on your lunch break, right? So you're trying to get in and out. You get there, you find out there's a line. Why is there a line? Well, there's a lot of people trying to go to the post office during lunch. Well, who else is taking lunch? The clerks have to take lunch. So if, let's say you have 2 clerks running in that post office. One takes lunch. Well, now the line's going to back up. That one person can't do it by themselves. But guess what? Wouldn't it be nice if you could grab somebody from the back to cover the counter during their lunch break, so you could have 2 or maybe even 3 during the lunch hour? You're not allowed to do that because
Some
the
of the
union
post
doesn't
office
do it.
Closes.
Some of them
the small
close.
ones close during lunch
Yeah.
hour. So that's a complete fail.
You can't close during lunch, man. That's like the busiest time. So a lot of failures with the post office.
I mean, they give out boxes for free
Yeah.
for
Free
the
boxes.
priority mail so that you'll have to use priority service. Guess what people are doing with those boxes?
They use
All
them.
kinds of things. They're
Stuff.
using them to move in their houses. They're using them
Yeah.
as they use the priority bubble mailers as packing and
Packing
their
material
other,
and other packages.
you know, they're just handing out all kinds of free stuff. Well, that's costing them.
Yep.
Tape, they're giving out free tape.
Yep.
Meanwhile, they sell tape. Who's going to buy the tape if they're giving it out for free?
Yep. That happened a lot.
And then you'll have some people walk in with their package and they're like, oh,
and they're not,
I just noticed that this isn't taped very well. Could you tape this up for me? The rolls of tape are right over there.
We sell
and
them.
They cost this much. No, they give them free tape. So that's a fail. I mean, you want to be nice, but you're a business. Oh, no, we're a service. You know,
you're not.
Let's use
you're
some common
service
sense.
That has to.
You have to use
profitable.
some common sense. It's, you know, everybody, you hear these people come in and grumble about not getting free tape or free boxes, but then they don't want to give a free bailout. Well, if you expect the post office to keep giving you all this stuff, then you can expect a bailout.
Yeah.
You can't have it all.
And in my example where the clerk went to lunch and you're down to one clerk, the postmaster sometimes will go up on the counter and help, but they're not really supposed to.
They're not allowed to.
They're not allowed to.
All of what they're
I've seen them
allowed to do is give hold mail and accept packages, but they're not supposed to be making any sales.
They're not supposed to do sales, and you have to be window trained. There's a 2-week course that you take just to be window trained. So, so if that clerk was out for lunch and you needed another clerk, and someone just came back off their route, okay, early, say they had an aux route, which is like a shortened route, and they came back early, wouldn't it be nice to use that person? Hey, can I use you on the window for 30 minutes until my clerk comes back off of lunch? Can't do it. The unions don't allow you to cross crafts. And what they mean is, if you're a clerk, you're only a clerk. You can't deliver. If you're a deliverer, you can't be on the window. They could be. The unions don't allow it. And so it handcuffs the management to be able to make a decision to put someone in place while someone eats lunch. Now, how much of a help would that be? Carriers come in early, they want to come in and get their case set up for the day, and they could help throw packages. They could get on the clock and help throw packages. They're not allowed. That's the clerk's job. You're stealing my money is what they say. It's get rid of the unions, cross-train everybody, or at least cross-train the ones that, hey, how many carriers do I have out of the 20 of you, by show of hands, would like to be window trained? It's an opportunity to get on the window and maybe get a couple extra hours a week. How many of you, by show of hands, would like to do that? Oh, okay, I got 5. You write those names down, you get them into the next course, and guess what? Now you've got some flexibility. Someone takes a lunch break, you can bring someone in. Hey, I got somebody that's going to take lunch at 12. Can you come back off your route, or can you come in if you're off? Can you come in and run the window for an hour? I'd really appreciate it. That's an extra hour of pay. And they make good money. They all making way over minimum wage. The carriers or a regular carrier is probably up near $30 an hour, and a sub carrier before they make regular is probably in the upper 20s. There's not that much difference. And I'm just ballparking it. You can go online and see what they start in pay. I think they start around $21, $22 an hour, and that's even in the smallest town. Doesn't matter how big the city is. In some places, if you get a stipend, you get a bump in pay based on location, like Alaska and Hawaii. They pay a little bit more because of cost of living. So they make good money, but they're mistreated, and so there's a high turnover rate. And how about training them? You got to train them. If you're a carrier, you get trained on the vehicle, you get orientation, it is really garbage.
They need to revamp their whole training program. And that's not hard to figure out either.
No,
I don't understand why they haven't figured that out.
But the money they're wasting on training because of their high rotation. How many times have you received an orientation more than once?
That's another joke, and that's a huge joke. And I've tried every single time that I got rehired, because like when I didn't want to be in management anymore,
they make you start all over.
I was forced to resign and start all over.
Right.
They don't even take care of their people that have knowledge and experience their whole system is just garbage. So anyway, when I had to re-enter, I had to go through a whole new orientation. That's what a waste.
And that's like 3 days.
I have been to probably 4 orientations.
All waste.
One for each position I've done.
That's 12
complete
days.
and total waste.
12 hours.
Even during some of my orientation, I had to teach the class. Why am I, and the person who was supposed to be doing it went on break. So, I mean, it's utter ridiculousness. I don't know how many times I've done driver's training.
You don't forget how to
drive that vehicle. That's complete insanity. They just waste a ton of money.
And believe it or not, driving a right-hand drive vehicle and driving a left-hand drive vehicle, there's no difference. There's literally no difference. You would think there would be. The difference would be if you had to drive on the opposite side of the road.
The biggest differences are different blind spots. So you could show me a 1-minute video to let me know that, hey, there's a blind spot there. Okay.
But driving on the right side.
If I don't have enough brains to be able to watch a little video or be told that there's a blind spot there and know how to deal with it, then you probably shouldn't be hiring me anyway.
Right.
I mean...
Oh, and we don't even want to go. Yeah, we could go on and on. There's so many things.
I'm not gonna.
But how about this vehicle purchase? They got into a contract with Mercedes.
That was the dumbest purchase ever. Why would you buy such an expensive vehicle? Every little thing that breaks costs a ton of money. I want to know who padded their pockets on that purchase, because that was the dumbest purchase. Those LLVs lasted forever.
LLVs are the little mail trucks.
They're still ones in use. Why wouldn't you have taken that concept and just made it better?
Those trucks, okay, they're ragged and they're run down, and the heaters often, they don't have air conditioning.
But you could take that concept and build off of it.
I'm getting to that. People go say, yeah, they're ragged, they're tagged, they're ragtag vehicles, they don't run very well. Yes, but guess what? Why they don't run very well? The technology is like 40 years old. The fact that they're still running is amazing. It's a win. Take that concept and integrate it with today's technology. Put an air conditioner in those things. Some of them should have four-wheel drive if you're in the mountains delivering mail. But if you're in Florida, you don't need it. Like, cater the truck.
And they need to be bigger for the packages.
They need to be bigger.
I mean, there's lots of different things they could have just done with that concept. But look around at some of those. They're mattresses. They call them mattresses. The Mercedes vans. And I guarantee you, they're all banged up.
They're banged
in no
up.
time. Like, there's not even accountability for the people that they hired. Because the people that deliver, like the Amazon Sundays, they're usually the ones that are banging up those vehicles the most.
Hey,
I'm telling you.
I've never banged one
That's
up.
just facts. I didn't say everybody. I said they're the ones. Or the subs. But, hey, there's regulars, too. I mean, it just depends on the person. But,
you know what else?
Those were dumb purchases.
This is something you never hear about. You never hear about it. What kind of gas do those Metris vans call for?
93
octane. They're not allowing you to put premium gas in those vehicles. They only want you to run 87 octane in that car. Now, from the manufacturer, it calls for that. Now, why did they get into a vehicle that's going to call for the higher price gas to start with? But what's going to happen is those vehicles are going to have a shorter life, a shorter engine life, because a vehicle that is mapped, that calls for 90 octane or higher gas, it's mapped that way. The fuel injectors and everything are designed for the higher octane, so it's going to run more efficiently on the higher octane. If you put the lower grade gas in there, it'll run, and because they're newer vehicles, they'll run fine. It's the long term damage. Are they still going to be running 10 years from now? Or are they going to be knock? No. They're going to start having mechanical problems with those vehicles. They're probably already starting, I would think. They've been out, about 5 or 6 years in some places, maybe 10 years? And most of those mattresses are tore up. They're already tore up. But if they had taken the old concept of the LLV, the regular mail truck that you're used to seeing with the squared body and the slide door in the back, if you take that, they call them LLVs because they're long life vehicles, and they are. They're like 40, 50 years old. That's a success. I think if we had taken an American-made company, you can pick one, doesn't matter. I thought Oshkosh would have been a good one to pick because they make all-terrain vehicles, and they're American-made in Wisconsin, I think. And I think they could have gotten a good contract with them. I'm not pushing them. They could pick any that they want, but they should have been American-made, so you can get parts cheaper. They should have been a lower octane fuel rated. A lot of things could have saved a whole bunch of money, but the fact that they went out and purchased all these mattresses, one of the most expensive vehicles, I think they're in the top 3 most expensive vehicles to maintain. I think your son drove one for a while, and the air conditioner heater knob broke, and they put
Well, they all did that in the beginning because they didn't have the sight to know that the mail trays were gonna
fall
hit
forward
them,
and hit them,
and they would break off, and they're like $400 to replace.
They're $400, and so they don't fix them. They're
So
like,
then
we're not going to fix that.
So then they came out with these little covers
Cages,
for them,
yeah.
and instead of replacing the knob in his mattress and then putting the cover, they just put the cover because they're like, we're not spending that $400. So his was stuck on a very cold temperature, because when the cage wasn't on it, you could take some pliers in there and manipulate the temperature still, but once they put the cage on there, you couldn't adjust it anymore. So now it was stuck on a really cold setting. Well, you know how well that works out during the winter? You can't defrost your windows.
Yep.
I had to use that vehicle when I was delivering packages during the winter, and you couldn't see out the windows. It was a huge safety hazard. Then when it's raining and you're soaked, you're getting into the vehicle in this freezing air, and it was just a terrible mess. I don't know how would you not think of that?
I wish they would just post office, head of maintenance, whatever, use these guys, talk to carriers who know what works, what doesn't work. Anybody could have told you. Somebody that does the mail for a week could have told you that packages slide around. You have to hit the brakes. A sudden thing happens in front of you. You hit the brakes. The packages slide forward. Now, they thought of it in the back where they put a cage in the back so those packages don't hit you in the back of the head, but they didn't think about the tray and the packages that get brought up to the front, the smaller stuff that goes in the box, those get brought up to the front.
I hated that cage.
For quick delivery. The cage is stupid. It forces you to get out and go around when sometimes you can just reach back, grab your package, pop it in the box, and head on. They don't think about efficiency. They say they're thinking about safety, but they didn't really. They didn't think about the safety of breaking that knob, and then now you can't see out the windows because it's stuck on freeze mode. So they could have had somebody better design this thing. So many ideas about that. You could get locking trays that snap in place and ride on a carriage almost like a kitchen drawer. You pull a kitchen drawer out, it's on rollers, it locks in place like an RV drawer that locks in place. Why can't you do stuff like that? Why can't you why can't you put a radio in a freaking radio, and the LLVs didn't even have a radio. I mean, why?
The mattresses do.
They do, yeah. And you can connect your phone to them and all kinds of things, which you're not supposed to, but everybody does it. Because when you get in one, you see like 20 different phones listed in the thing that connects. It's funny. But just a simple radio. It can just be AM, FM, no Bluetooth. You don't need Bluetooth, just a radio. Something to listen to.
I wish they would have management and people in the high positions that have common sense, and I don't know a better way to say it, but the balls to stand up for the people that are doing the hard jobs and to do what's right and treat people with respect and to tell the upper management what's what for the place to run right.
The high turnover is probably what costing the post office millions of dollars a year. That's probably the number one thing that's costing them the most money. The second most is just overstaff of management. It's costing them a ton of money.
I really liked working for the post
Yeah,
office.
I actually did too.
I liked the job in itself.
I liked it
loved
too.
making people's day, bringing them packages they were waiting for or mail they were waiting for, getting to talk to some really cool people on the different routes. I did not like management. They made that place so awful. But if I could work there under a right management team today, I would go back there.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the hustle of it. I liked it.
I liked the hustle of it too, and I was good at memorizing all the things.
She was. She's good at memorizing
and being
addresses.
very organized, and I thought it was fun to be able to just get it all together and make the impossible, it seemed, happen. But when you put management on top of it doing this to you, or when you've had a really strenuous day already, they keep sending you out 3 and 4 times.
Yeah, that's discouraging because you're thinking, okay, I should be done by 4 o'clock. You get back and then you're sent back out.
You know, or
That's not
you
fun.
have coworkers that are garbage being rewarded because they're giving the boss sexual favors or things like that going on, which there is a ton of.
There is a lot of that. It ain't zero tolerance, I can tell you that.
It's a horrible feeling. So I think it's too bad that it ended up being what it is. I wish that they would really dismantle it, because I do think that the service the post office provides is an important service. I do think it's run completely wrong and needs to be run more like a business with different accountabilities. I just think it's sad.
Yeah, it's sad. I'm going to say this, and many postal employees will probably disagree with me on the face of it, but inside they know I'm right. I think they should privatize the post office. I think they would cut a lot of fat out of the management. I think they would streamline the process. The bottom line, it would have to make money. Now, the cost of packages and services would probably go up, but you would get a better product. Your mail would not get missed. It would get picked up because there'd be accountability.
I don't think the price of the services would need to go up if
I don't
they
think
trim
they
the
would.
fat.
I don't
and
think they
quit
would either.
handing out bonuses.
I said they might.
Yeah, or I was just pointing that out.
Right. Yeah, I think if I was to make my 3 top recommendations to trim the fat is I would absolutely try to do something with negotiating the vehicle purchases. They need to be American made. They need to be simplistic, but they need to be durable because they run 150 miles every day. And they need to be catered and built to the area in which they deliver in. If you're mountainous, you need 4-wheel drive on at least a few of them, not maybe the whole fleet, but some of them, so you can get yourself out of trouble. So you don't have to hire a tow truck, because that's what happens. If your vehicle breaks down, they dispatch a tow truck. Now they have to call, that costs money. If you can rescue yourself, you just save several $100s right there, one rescue. That's a minor point, but I would reconstruct the vehicles. I'd reconstruct the unions. They need to go away, probably entirely. Trim the middle management fat. Try to do away with the temporary assignments that cost hotels, meals, and travel. You got enough people locally that can cover that you shouldn't have to pay someone over here to go 100 miles out. Because if they go over 50 miles out of the area, that's the limit that they determine. Okay, now that trip's you get a hotel, you get meals, you get mileage, blah 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 blah. So they need to rein that in. Let's see, what was the big one? Oh yeah, I think the bonuses. You're paid to do a job. Why is there a bonus on top of that? Because what the bonus does is and it absolutely does this. The managers and postmasters, supervisors, the ones that get a bonus, they will make decisions based on getting their bonus. For example, postmaster is allowed to have 2 clerks on the window. She'll only schedule one of them, and the other one will get cut hours. And she'll run the window, even though she's not allowed to run the window, to cut hours. Why? To make her numbers look good to get the bonus. That's not, you're not even allowed to do that, but that's
she'll
happening.
be in the back throwing packages.
Right.
She'll be out on the street delivering mail.
Right. So that's what they do to cut the corners, to make it look like they have a lean management staff, and that's not what's happening. They're doing the work themselves, and they're being exorbitantly paid to do a lower job, and that's not efficient either. Get rid of the bonuses. They make enough money.
Maybe they should throw them a pizza party.
Yeah. So if they did just those few things, rework the unions, rework the vehicle contracts. There's no reason every office can't have vehicles for every route. There's no reason. They should even have an extra vehicle, maybe a floater vehicle in case one goes down. But they don't need to be Mercedes vehicles. They can be cheaper. I don't know, an American brand. Start with that. Parts are on the shelf at your local Napa store. I mean, you can get them locally. You don't have to wait 3 weeks for a Mercedes part from Germany. It's ridiculous. I think if you redid the vehicles, the unions, and cut the fat in the management, got rid of bonuses, I think they could operate in the black for many years just doing that. Those are my top 4 things they should look at. And I don't know what they can do about the vehicles. That might be something they can't do anything about. But the other ones they could. Unions take time too, but they could do management. They could do the temporary duty assignments. They could do that right now. They could do that tomorrow. And just treat people better. How much money are they wasting too training? Like you've been to 3 or 4 orientations. I've been to at least 2, I think.
And it's not just orientations.
It's driver training. It's all the stuff that they're retraining
repetitive driver's training
that you already know. Right. It's dumb. So they waste a lot of money on the turnover because of the way they treat people and because of the training. That's redundant. So that's our take. I think we've covered most everything. I hope Tullahoma gets their missed deliveries. I didn't speak to the one instance I had when I went into Tullahoma. I went in there to drop off a prepaid package because I wasn't certain it would get picked up here. So we took it. I dropped it off in the counter so it would go out that day. I stood there for a few minutes because I like to hand it to somebody. Because if you hand it to somebody, they'll scan it. Once it's scanned, I'm good. But if you leave it there on the counter, they will get it. And that's what I ended up doing. But I stood there 10 minutes. And for 10 minutes, there was no one on the counter. People were standing there waiting and nobody was on the counter. I didn't understand. You cannot leave the counter with nobody on the window for 10 minutes. And it was longer than that. I just stood there for 10 minutes. That's a fail. That's a fail. Especially when you can look down in the back and you see people doing this. They're talking and they're pushing their buggies really slow. It should be all the time back there. Not it's frustrating to me. Some people have to hustle to get their job done while others can just, whatever. What did you do last Sunday?
Like I said, I always said, if I would have known what I know now, I would have walked in there drooling on myself, because the people who are doing nothing are making the same amount of money as I am over here hustling it up.
I know.
So, but I actually tried to get a job at Tullahoma when I first came back here from Ohio as a clerk. And I didn't get the job because they hired somebody younger, and that's another thing too. A lot of companies want to hire the younger people because they think they'll have more zip and this and that, and then they see that you've worked for the post office before, so they probably can't get one over on you, and you've left there. So I've had a postmaster tell me that before, that you've left here before, so I know that you have the ability to leave, so why would I hire you to come back? So in essence, you were saying, since I can't treat you any which way I want because you might have the gumption just to leave, I'm not going to hire you. How about you just don't treat me like crap and take my experience and wisdom and not have to retrain me and think what a good worker you could have, but they want the ability to be able to treat you like crap. So that's
Isn't that the same postmaster that a couple of days before ran into you and asked you if you're going to be wearing a skirt to the interview? Why would you ask that? That's inappropriate. That's not zero tolerance. And that's a postmaster doing that.
So
I know at least 5 different examples of supervisors or higher level management involved in unscrupulous actions.
but after what I've heard about working at Tullahoma, it's probably God's good grace
we've
that
not
kept
heard
me
good things there.
out of that job. So, but I just think it's terrible that somebody's age or the fact that they've worked for that company before count against them.
Right.
So, and you know what the real funny thing is that job was reposted 6 to 8 weeks later. So I guess that
So it
person
didn't
that
work
they
out.
hired didn't work out after all.
Wow, management, you're right on that one.
So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, we both had thought, hey, maybe if we're going to be here at the cabin for a while, like a year or so, then we could go help out the local post offices, maybe run some Amazon
Yeah,
packages.
I was
or
thinking about it for
be
sure
a
because
clerk
I'm
for
bored.
a while. Yeah, we
So-
could do something, a little side gig job, not full time,
That would be fun.
but it would actually be fun. We'd get to know the area really well, and yeah, I think it would be fun. But the way they treat you and what we hear about the Tullahoma post office, nothing good has come out. I pulled some clerks to the side when they weren't busy and asked them some questions. And they were like, you don't want to work here. You know, they were actually telling me to go to another town. And they told me that town, you should try over there. It's a much better place to work. I was like, yeah, but that's an hour drive. But, yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about the Winchester post office. So I'm not dropping dimes on you guys. I've only been in there a couple times. I don't have anything bad to say about them. I don't know much about them. But Estill Springs, I know they've had a seasoned leadership recently retire, and then they had a clerk recently either quit or retire. So they're kind of short. So they brought in somebody. Now, I don't know whether this lady, she came from a big city, and I don't know whether this lady is getting paid the temporary duty pay and the extra hotel money. I don't know if she moved here and took a job position or if she's just filling in and getting paid overly. But I wasn't very impressed with her because after I had my few choice words with her, and it was very well structured, I said it in a way that wasn't condescending or demeaning. I told her about the grievance that I had, and she goes, and she did go back and forth with me a little bit for about 10 minutes, but then she real quickly says, hey, I have to get on a conference call. We'll have to do this some other time. It's like, so you're picking that over customer service. And she just walked away from me. So that's what you get with management.
Like I said, that's why I used the term I did. I wish the management had the balls to tell the upper management.
These are called impus.
But
the
you
ones
have-
that are above the postmasters.
You have to be willing to be put in a place too, because every time you speak up for what's right, you get a bullseye on your back.
They do quickly do.
But
that.
I personally, as most people know, can't just fly under the radar and watch
bad things
things
happen.
going on like that, because it's just not right. So I always figured, well, whatever punishment I have to get for speaking up for what's right, then so be it.
Yeah.
If more people did that, then you would flip the script and things would have to be changed, because you would force it to change, because there's always more good than bad if those people would band together and do the right thing. The problem is too many people just want to be quiet and just want to sit there under the radar. And
Now, would you agree with me? I actually enjoyed working at the Chiefland Post Office. The postmaster that was there at the time, we enjoyed working with her.
as an ARC, I don't
Yes,
know
as
that
an
you,
ARC.
you would have liked it as a mail carrier.
No, probably not. There was one or two carriers in there I didn't care for. One was the union steward.
There's always going to be
Right.
people in there you don't care for. That's why there's headphones.
And there's people in there that are really lazy. But
There's always those.
there was 3 or 4 people in there that were really good and enjoyed doing their job, and they were fast and they were helpful, and so that's what kind of made the office nice. And the postmaster she did kind of bend over backwards a little bit for us, I think, to get us out quicker. Like during Christmas, we were helping during the week sometimes.
Well, they usually do that for people that come in and help them.
Yeah.
But
So
sometimes you might not have understand if you heard clerks or carriers grumbling about that postmaster because that wasn't your experience with the postmaster.
Right.
But believe me, most of the grumblings are probably very validated because there's different treatment for different people
I heard
for
some of
different
that.
situations.
I heard some of that too, but you gotta, the way I'm comparing her to other people I've worked with, and she was one of the better ones that I worked with. She was easier to work with than many of the others I worked with. Like the one that you work with, that she's the absolute worst person I've ever been associated with, and I didn't even work for her.
You know, sometimes you have people in life that pretend to be your friend.
That's what that person was.
They pretend to be your friend, and then they just run a bus over you.
Mm-hmm. That's what she
Because
is.
they're using you as a stepping stone.
Yep.
That's what she was in my life. And you know, you'll have that throughout your life, people that pretend to be your friend for whatever the reason is, and you know, just learn the lessons that you need to learn from those people and move on, and don't be bitter about things. That's what I've learned from those situations.
It's really hard though not to be bitter, especially when you go back and remember all these things that could have been so much different.
Well, the shameful thing with any of those people throughout my life that pretended to be my friend is you look at them and say, what a shame, because you always can pick out good qualities of people, and if they would have let those qualities shine, what an amazing person they could have been. I know lots of people get in relationships because, you know, they think they can fix people, or they see those couple of good qualities that they want to help make grow and thrive and shine, but it's really up to that individual to make those qualities blossom.
Mm-hmm.
And if they choose not to, they won't. So you look at them and you're like, what a shame. And
because what could have been.
and that's what I do, you know, when I look at those people, but I don't try to dwell on it too much, because then that really is what could lead to you being bitter too. So I just say, well, it's too bad, and move on. You know, lessons learned, too bad. You don't want a hardened heart or be bitter. So she was just, I call them my disappointments in life. So
that's an understatement.
so those, I always say, that person was really disappointing. I thought so much more of them.
Mm-hmm.
So she was one of those utterly disappointing people in my life.
Yeah. And she played favorites, and she adjusted schedules based on her favorites and what they wanted. And if you had made a point of wanting a certain thing, she would do just the opposite. She even ruined another job you were supposed to get. Like, you weren't working Sundays or something. I can't remember the whole story.
She did lots of things, and I remember some of the other clerks that worked underneath her said, I thought you two were best friends. She treats you worse than anybody else. I said, yep.
Yep.
Yep, I thought we were too.
So,
What's that useless postal phrase? It is what it is.
Oh yeah, I hate that phrase because it doesn't say anything. It is what it is.
It says,
but it doesn't have to
what
be
is
that way.
what does that phrase mean, really? That we aren't going to do anything to fix anything. That's what that phrase means. That we are just going to leave it as it is. It's the way it's always been.
That's the other one.
So
we've always done it.
So
that
that's
way.
what that phrase means.
We've always done it that way. That's code for we know it sucks, but we don't have a creative mind to create a better way of
We
doing
don't have
things,
the gall or the gumption or the
or the
cojones
willpower or
to do anything different.
We just have always done it that way, so we're going to take the easy route and we're going to just keep doing it that way. Even though it's inefficient, it costs more money, it doesn't get the mission done. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I really think if the post office had a more military mindset, it would fix a lot of the problems. But again, they have to completely gut it. Not the workers, not the frontline workers, not the clerks, not the carriers. It's really the management. It's the management that sets the piece. You don't need more than half of them. You don't need it all. This one evil postmaster we speak about, that office doesn't even need a postmaster. That is such a small post office. It doesn't need a postmaster. It doesn't. It doesn't even need a supervisor. It closes during lunch. I mean, it's not a big office. It's one clerk deep is all it is. And I think there's only, is there 4 routes in that one? And they're contracted. Like, they're contracted out. They actually pay someone extra money to deliver, and they're not even postal employees. 2 of them are?
2 of them.
That's another thing that's inefficient.
I mean, she is a smart lady.
She's smart.
And I will give her that. But they're underutilizing her and allowing her to treat people like garbage. So.
Yeah. She's actually costing the post office money.
That she is.
On paper, she's looking good because she doctors the numbers. But in actual realistic terms, she's actually costing the post office money. Absolutely. But the improos that sit in their desk and don't go out there and do site visits, unannounced site visits, unannounced on the route visits is what they should be doing.
Most of them are just as crooked. So.
Yeah, they're crooked. They don't care either. It's just, it could be so much better. I'm a logistics guy, and I feel like I could by myself fix the entire post office. But you really have to take the middle out, and you got to start with the right people. I mean, they just don't hire the right people, and they don't keep the right people. The right people leave because they get misused, and that's what happens. You're left with the rest that feel like they can't afford to quit because of their finances, or they don't know how to do anything else.
I wish I would have left that place sooner, and I wish I never would have went back.
Yeah. And the whole thing about quitting one position and then to reapply, shouldn't your seniority count?
I certainly wish I wouldn't have gone back to work under the she-devil.
I think management should be able to, like when you make regular, they have so many regular positions in an office, whatever that number is. And the hierarchy to make regular is just when you got hired. I think you should be able to earn your way into regular sooner with regular attendance, with being helpful, with knowing your job, with being more efficient, with being reliable. That's a big one in the post office, being reliable. And you should be able to jump people that are just lackadaisical, they come in late, they always need help on their route. Those people should move down the list. I think you should be able to give them a point system or something to reward them for their loyal service and for being efficient.
I think
smart.
when I had an issue when I was a supervisor and I wanted to go back and basically downgrade, but they don't allow you to downgrade. I think it would have been feasible for them to have put me at the top of the RCA list.
Yes, that's what I was going to say too.
I would have given up my seniority that I had as a regular, of course, but I would have been at the top of the RCA list to be the next person to make regular. It would have been feasible to have done that for me at that time because of the experience I had. I was obviously giving up my seniority. I wasn't asking to be put back where I was as far as any of that goes, but they certainly could have done something better for me than just tell me to quit and reapply and start at the complete bottom as if you are just coming into this organization.
Yeah, that's
I think
wrong.
it was a huge fail for what they did for me, as I gave up some things to do better for their organization, and they failed me.
Mm-hmm.
They completely failed me.
They absolutely did.
So, and I was willing to come back into that organization after they failed me. But unfortunately, I did reapply and came back as a clerk under a she-devil, and that was a huge mistake. So, but unfortunately in life, you just gotta learn your lessons and move on. And I'm still learning lessons to this day.
We learn lessons because we look at postal positions that are open, and then we start thinking and going, I don't know if I want this. You look because you're curious, and then you look and you go,
It's still a broken
have second
model.
thoughts.
You
It's
just
still a
be
broken
putting
model,
yourself
yeah.
back into a broken model.
Yeah.
And I've worked on a good team before. There was one time when I was an RCA at Maricamp, and we had an awesome group of RCAs and carriers in there at that time, and everything just worked very magical. And everybody looked out for each other. I mean, management really didn't even have to do anything. We all had each other's phone numbers. We called each other to see who was still out. You know, it was like you didn't leave anybody out by themselves. You were just really in contact with each other, and it made huge difference. I only had that once in all the 18 years, but it was magical.
Yeah, I could see that.
It was a great group of people, and then we had a bad apple come in there, and she ruined everything.
And Chiefland was a little like that. I thought they were pretty helpful. But that was just on Sundays. That was just Sunday deliveries. Other carriers, other people that were out, we talked to each other. Well, there was one point, because I transferred from Williston to Chiefland, and then she moved from Ocala to Chiefland eventually. And so when we were there together, it was usually just three of us. It would usually be you, me, and one other person would be running Sundays. And so we would keep communicating. You don't have a supervisor on staff waiting for you to get back at that office. That some offices do. And, you know, they're just, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But when the three of you do it together and you're left to do it together, then you do work more efficiently, you work faster. You're trying to get home too. You don't want to be there all night. So if you're left alone to do your job, the good ones will do their job and then some. But if you nag them, you're going to get negative results. You got to know how to manage people. And the post office leadership is not taught how to team build. They're not taught from a military mindset. They're not taught how to team build, how to build a team. The word team doesn't even come up in their supervisor classes. The only thing that comes up is they do photo ops, they visit different offices, they have discussions, they pat themselves on the back, take a photo, get paid, and leave. They didn't learn a thing. They didn't learn a thing.
No, they're too busy learning how to write people up.
Yeah, that's, you know.
Harass people, write them up.
Mm-hmm. So
Don't tell them they're doing a good job.
Oh no,
Don't do that.
That never happened. But you know when you're the good one, because they always ask you, hey, can you help here? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? Because they lean on you. So if you're an asset to your business, no matter what it is, the company's going to lean on you. They're going to probably ask you to do a little more. And you don't mind doing a little more in the hopes that one day it will reward you, right?
Yeah, like I said, that they actually do something about that one employee that keeps messing things up.
Yeah, until they actually fix the cancer, they're not ever going to get well. So, well, this video ran over, but I feel like it did.
Who knew?
We had a few
So
notes.
this means
but
now.
we already went over them.
This means now that I don't have to hear anything else about the post office again, right?
Can I make that promise?
Surely not.
But hey, we might break this up into a few videos. We didn't realize we were going to get on a. We thought we might get chatty on this topic because it's just a topic that touches us on many different levels. And the whole reason it does that is because it could have been so different. It could be so different. And it's just, it's like, man, this is so easy to fix. Why don't you just fix it?
I always said working for the post office is like being in a, what did I say, domestic violence situation?
Oh, yeah, it's like being in a bad relationship. You can't get out.
Because it could have been so
Could have
good.
been
and
so
you
good.
keep saying that. And,
Yeah.
but it's really like a
You keep getting knocked down. And
domestic violence situation where you keep going back for more abuse and you can't get out of it.
Anyway, we'll get this wrapped up and edited and get it out to you, and it might be a week's worth of video material, but this is something that's important to us. It's about life's lessons. It's bigger than just the post office, even though this is about the post office. But when it's ran right, it can be a fun place to work. There are many parts of it I enjoy doing. I enjoyed the hustle of it and all that, but when management gets involved, it's usually a cancer, and it makes it very much not fun.
I'll be interested to see if the government bails them out again or if they're actually going to fix something. That's what I want to see.
The whole problem with the government at that level getting involved is there's always other things tied to it. Like, okay, we'll bail you out, but we want you to do this for us. So there's always this, and why can't we just handle this and then handle this separately? Because they're different things. It's always you scratch our back, we'll scratch yours kind of thing, and usually someone always gets shorted. But I don't think they should bail them out because they keep making the same bad choices. They're not fixing anything. If you bail them out, they're going to keep doing it, and next year they're going to need bailed out again and again and again. The pattern repeats itself. They need to just fail. Take their bonuses, rewrite the union contracts, gut the middle management, hire from within the good ones, not the bad ones, and give a priority to your better workers. Give a reward to your better workers. Bump them up in the chain to make regular faster. Because that's really what they want. They want to make regular. Get vehicles, work on those fleets. How about a fuel program where you're not buying fuel off the economy? What if they had little postal fuel farms? The military has that. They have their own fuel tankers, their own fuel stations. They're chipped, they go in, it's all automatic. There's no scheming with the fuel receipts and all this and that. Because there's a lot of that goes on too. People lying about their mileage and getting extra money. I mean, there's a whole gamut of things that can be fixed with the post office. So, anyway, that's our soapbox for today. We enjoyed you listening to us rant about the post office. So, tell us, do you have an experience in your town about the post office? Good, bad, or indifferent? We'd like to hear about it. Drop it in the comments. Maybe we can go back and forth with it, and we can feel your pain. Anyway, you guys have a great day, and we'll see you next time.